Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a special edition Force of Will 101. My name is Chris,
And I'm Matt.
and today we're going to be talking about the new rulers coming out in MPR. MPR is just a couple days away, and we're getting pretty
I
excited.
hype.
What?
Hype.
Hype! Alright, so I guess we can just get started right away. We're going to start today with the light. And we're going to be talking about the ruler, and then we're going to talk about a few cards that you might want to consider playing with this ruler, and other just cards of that same attribute that are just really good. And these are all MPR cards. I know there's tons of cards from like CMF and TAT that will go well with the new rulers, but we're sticking straight to MPR today.
Yep.
So, Pandora, Weaver of Myth. Her J activate is pay 5 light. But if your life is 3,000 or less, pay 3 light. Or if your life is 2,000 or less, pay 2. Or if your life is 1,000 or less, pay 0. It's a pretty interesting mechanic.
Yep. Definitely gives us a hint that we're going to be playing kind of a catch-up card that rewards us, or at least helps us get back in the game when our life totals are getting towards the lower end there.
Yeah, for sure. Because, I mean, flipping for free, especially into a card like what we're going to talk about, Grimmia, is pretty good.
Yeah.
So yeah, pretty straightforward. Interesting effect. We haven't really seen one like this yet, so that's kind of cool. But Grimmia is the other side. A ruler I'm personally pretty excited for. It says it has a continuous whenever this card attacks. You may search your main deck for a weapon, addition/J resonator, and add it to this card. Then shuffle your main deck. Now, Matt, you want to talk about the changes? What was the card originally supposed to say?
Yeah, so when the cards were spoiled, it was supposed to say search your deck for a J or addition J resonator weapon and attach it to one of the resonators you control. So it kind of seemed like, all right, we're going to be buffing up one of our creatures, but everyone thought like, hey, look at this amazing sword that Grimmia is holding. It seems like that they should get, addition. And thankfully, it was changed into this, which we'll get into a bit why it's so good. But yeah, it's a great change that they made to the card. It instantly shot up the playability of it, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's definitely a good change, and I was excited to see it. And people were screaming "OP, OP" when they first saw that change. But so then his first activate ability, he has 2 activate abilities. His first one says pay 1 light. This card gains swiftness and target attack until end of turn. Holy crap!
So good.
Wow. Yeah, he's already 1,000 body, and he only gets bigger when you add additions, like including the Ragnarok, which we'll talk about in a minute. But man, that's for 1 light.
Yeah. So you can again tell it's going in we're going to catch up, or at least we're going to kill something of theirs for a very cheap cost.
Yeah.
So,
And then its activate for 2 light is banish an addition added to this card, and then you can rest up to 2 target J/resonators. So, get those out of the way. Get those big J rulers out of the way. Like, wow.
it makes you threaten your opponent's J roller. If they flip early and you can banish an addition, you're going to be able to tap it down, swing into them, and most likely remove them because you're going to have, the continuous is whenever it attacks. So you banish something, tap it down, go to attack, equip another addition, and make it bigger. So it's a very good combo that we have going on. So, with that, it's a 1,000 body. It's amazing. But I think what really makes it shine now is that little sword that apparently gets transformed when Grimmia is holding it, but is Ragnarok, the Divine Sword of the Savior. So the continuous is that it gets plus 500, which is really good stats in itself.
Yeah.
Especially if you're flipping it for free, like, oh, let me just tutor my deck. Okay, I have a 1,500 J ruler. And then what's awesome about this weapon specifically is that whenever a resonator is dealt damage by the sword, if they go to the graveyard this turn instead, remove it from the game, and you gain life equal to its defense instead. So if we're swinging to, like, let's just say a Hamlin, okay, flip Grimmia for probably, let's say 2, give it swiftness for a 3rd light. So you want to be in a very heavy deck. That's going to be fine because it's probably what you're going to be doing if you see these other 2 cards here. Swinging into it, killing a Hamlin, and then gaining 1,000 life out of it. So yeah, that catch-up is a pretty good catch-up mechanic if you ask me. And if they don't answer it that turn, well, guess what? You're going to tap down more of their stuff and gain more life. So it's very, very good. And they can't even like trade into it because if they try to two for one, let's just say they swing in 2 Carmelas to it. Okay, I lost my guy. I'm gonna gain 1,600 more life. That still feels pretty good to me, especially if you're playing the longer game. Anyways, I'd rather always hurts to lose your J roller. Don't get me wrong, but gaining a bunch of life after they just 2-for-1 themselves feels pretty great.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, you should be able to continue on the game as normal, and you're not insta dead like you were a turn or two ago.
Right.
All right, and then another card that I'm sure Matt really wants to talk about. He's been telling me, man, this card is so good. The Pilot.
Yeah, I mean, it's just these two cards in general, and it's one of those things, like, I had to read the card twice just because the enter effect, it says rest target resonator your opponent controls. So let's say you're playing any kind of aggressive curve, or you're playing 1-inch boy. You can play 1-inch boy on 2, play this guy on 3, and swing in your 1-inch boy to kill one of their bigger resonators. I mean, maybe not the best thing you're doing, but it's still getting rid of their bigger threats. So it's a 3 cost, it has 800 body, so it's a fairly good stats for a 3-drop. But what really makes it shine is that it has the Awakening ability too, which goes with the Little Prince, that pay an additional light in 1, enter, search your main deck for a card named Little Prince, and put it into your field. Also, this triggers its enter ability. So you're for 5, you're going to get an 800 body, you're going to gain 1,000 life, and you're going to have at least a 600 also on board. And this card's a rare? Like, come on. And that does not seem too fair for me. I mean, it's great that it costs 5 and what have you, but man, is that insane.
Granted, you have to be under 1,000 life to get the Little Prince life gain.
True, but it's one of those great catch-up abilities. So it's, again, if we're getting against the burn aggro decks where we're probably going to be dead by turn 4, turn 5, we're going to very easily be able to trigger that gain 1,000 life and have 2 very relevant bodies in the field. Yeah. So it feels pretty good.
Yeah, and we've kind of, talked about most of them already, but we can talk about the Little Prince briefly. It says, this card gains 400 for each different total cost among Resonators you control that don't share this card's total cost. So you have a 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop, 5-drop. It could gain 1,200 because it's not going to, the 2-drop would be Little Prince himself, but it has the potential to gain a decent amount of attack and defense. Even if you have 2 other different drops, like a 3-drop and a 4-drop, it's going to be pretty good. And if you go get him with the Pilot, you're automatically going to be boosting him to a 600.
Can't thunder me, bro.
Yeah. Or please thunder me. I'll take the 1,000 life points. Because the Pilot, yeah. So, I don't know. I was just gonna say, it feels like all these cards fit into a Grimmia deck.
100%.
I can't think of too many situations or too many other decks that would benefit more. I mean, the Pilot and Little Prince are both fairy tales, so Grimm. But I mean, Grimmia. I mean, why have Grimm when you could have a Grimm Lumia combo, right?
Fusion every time.
Oh man.
But and yeah, for an honorable mention, if you will, would be the Book of Creation, or a Book of Genesis rather. Because if you combo this with Little Prince, you realize, okay, you're gonna get 1 drop, 4 drop, what have you, as it keeps getting a counter. Yes, you're not going to trigger the enter ability off Little Prince when it comes into play off the book ability because it has to be played from your hand instead. But every turn you're essentially adding plus 400 to Little Prince. So turn 1, let's say we're an aggro ability, you can get the 400 Knights. Turn 2, you get Little Prince. Turn 3, you could get something like Kai if you wanted to, who then doesn't have his frozen counter, so he's at 1,200 on turn 3.
Neat.
Turn 4, you just get another beefy guy. It just keeps going up. So it's another interesting combination where Little Prince, it's great if you can have anytime you can get the full value out of it, get 1,000 life is great, but just the fact that he gets plus 400 is absolutely insane. And I don't know, I think there's this card that likes to whenever you have additions like that, they double the buffs. I don't know, Crimson Girl might like this card too.
Wait, what card? What does that do? What card is that?
So give it plus 800 for every other cost it has. Oh man, that card gets insane real quick.
Wait a sec. Wait. So you're saying if you're playing Crimson Girl in the Sky, and you have Ragnarok in your deck, and you equip a Ragnarok onto Tin Man on turn 3, he's automatically 1,100, and then if you flip into Little Red the True Fairy Tale,
Chom.
He's going to become a 28-28? No. 12 or 12 plus 6. He'd be, without any other counters, an 18-18 that gets defense every time he kills, or gets life points every time he kills something?
Feels good. Feels real good. Oh, man.
Did Follow the Yellow Brick Road just get really good?
Yeah. And as you guys will see in one of our other videos, it gets insane. Win got a lot too. So.
Oh man. All right. Well, I think that's probably good for a brief overview of the new Light Ruler in the Moon Priestess Returns with a few cards, just kind of like a little show off of potential decks. Any final closing thoughts, Matt, before we head out of here?
Nope, that's it. Got my honorable mention in, so I feel pretty good about that.
All right, guys. Well, thank you as always for watching. We always appreciate your likes, comments, and subscriptions, and we will see you on the next edition of Force of Will 101.
Bye, guys.